Welcome to PicklePatter, the show where we really dig deep into, all the fascinating stuff happening in the world of pickleball. And today, we're going to be tackling the one, the only, sudden death rule.
Ooh, yeah, sudden death. You know that feeling when the score is tied and everybody just knows that the next point is going to decide it all? It's like the energy just totally changes.
It's electric, like the whole place is buzzing.
Yeah.
I'm Mark, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who, I don't know, I thrive on that sudden death pressure. You give me that sudden death point, I'm there. But if you ask me to order breakfast, forget it. I fall apart.
And I'm Raven, cool, under pressure, at least until that final rally comes along. Then all bets are off.
Yeah. And we are dissecting an article today from Pickleballtips. It's called The Sudden Death Rule, Pickleball's Dramatic Finish. So get ready for some serious pickleball patter, folks.
All right, so for anybody out there who might be new to the game, just imagine this. You're locked in, it's a tight match, the score is 10-10, and bam, it's win by one. That's sudden death.
Yeah, one shot.
One shot.
Everything on the line.
Everything.
I mean, it's enough to make you forget which way to hold the paddle, you know?
It really is. And the article actually goes into the history of this rule, and it turns out that back in 1965, the creators of pickleball, Joel Pritchard, Bill Bell, and Barney McCallum, they wanted to shake things up a bit at the end of the game.
Yeah. They must have been tired of those matches that just kind of dragged on forever,
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to give the spectators something a little more exciting.
Exactly. And I think they definitely achieved that goal because sudden death came along and it just transformed the game. All of a sudden you had this element of risk and reward.
It's like they took a page right out of Hollywood. I love it.
It really is.
Speaking of all the drama, the article goes on to talk about how sudden death affects the players psychologically.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Sudden death is the ultimate test of your mental strength. Can you stay calm and focused when everything's riding on one point?
That's where I think I'd probably lose it. You remember that time I choked at the tournament? We were in sudden death, and I completely whiffed on that easy volley. It was awful.
Oh, don't worry. We've all been there. But the article does talk about the importance of just going back to the fundamentals, when you're under pressure.
Yeah, so even in sudden death, it all comes down to the basics.
Yeah.
Footwork, positioning, keeping your eye on the ball.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in that moment and try to pull off some crazy winner, but the article really stresses that the key to success is staying grounded and really just executing those fundamentals flawlessly.
Makes sense. Don't let the pressure make you forget what got you there in the first place.
Right. But it's not just about not messing up, It's also about really capitalizing on the opportunities that come up. Sudden death has this way of forcing players to be more aggressive.
Oh, so you're saying it's a time to take some risks. Maybe go for that put-away shot that you wouldn't normally try.
Exactly. And for those of you who are new to the game, a put-away shot is basically just a really strong shot aimed at ending the rally right then and there.
Gotcha. So sudden death basically means we get to see some really exciting and unpredictable gameplay.
Absolutely. And the article talks about how those moments of brilliance, those amazing plays that come out of nowhere, those are a big part of what makes sudden death so memorable.
Oh, yeah. And the spectators go wild for that stuff. It's palpable. You can just feel that electricity in the air, when a match goes to sudden death.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's intense. Speaking of spectators, though, the article also talks about how the sudden death rule actually adds another layer to the whole tournament experience.
It really does.
It just pumps so much energy and excitement into every match because at any point, the whole thing could just come down to one single point.
Yeah, it's like the whole tournament is holding its breath during those sudden death moments.
And that makes the win that much sweeter.
It really does.
Now, Raven, you've been in your share of sudden death situations, I know. What's it like from the player's perspective?
It's intense. I mean, you've got all that adrenaline pumping, but you have to stay focused. It's like everything else just fades away, and it's just you and the court.
The article mentions a few strategies for conquering those sudden death jitters. What are some of your go-to moves?
Well, one thing that really works for me is visualization. I actually take a few seconds before that last point, and I just imagine myself hitting the perfect shot.
Oh, wow. So you're like a mental ninja out there, picturing yourself winning before it even happens.
Pretty much. I know it sounds a little cheesy, but honestly, visualizing success really does help you stay calm and perform under pressure. It's like a mental warm-up.
Maybe I'll have to try that. Maybe it'll help with my whole breakfast ordering anxiety.
It couldn't hurt. But seriously, the article also talks about how important it is to be adaptable. You can't just go in with one rigid plan and expect it to work every time.
Yet you've got to be ready to change things up. Like if your opponent suddenly hits a drop shot, You and your partner have to decide who's taking it.
Right, exactly. Communication in doubles is key, especially in those split-second situations. It can make or break the game.
No kidding. Communication is everything. Oh, man, I remember this one time my partner and I were so out of sync, we both went for the same shot. It was a disaster. Let's just say it wasn't pretty.
Oh, we've all had those moments.
Yeah.
But going back to strategy, the article also talks about how important it is to keep a cool head and just make smart decisions.
So it's like you're playing a mental chess match out there.
Exactly. You have to try and anticipate your opponent's next move and really choose your shots wisely.
Okay. So we've got visualization, we've got adaptability, strategic thinking.
Yeah.
But isn't there always like an element of luck involved in sudden death? I mean, it's just 1 point.
Of course, there's always some luck involved in any sport, but the article emphasizes that you can actually tilt the odds in your favor if you just focus on the things you can control.
Right. So your mindset, your preparation, how well you actually execute the shots. Got it. So even when the pressure is on, you can still kind of take charge of the situation.
That's the beauty of it. You have to embrace the challenge, give it your all.
Speaking of embracing the challenge, what about the whole fairness thing? Some people say sudden death isn't really fair because it all boils down to one single point. What do you think?
That's a good question. And the article actually addresses that. It argues that fairness is a core part of the sudden death rule.
Really? I always thought of it as kind of a coin toss. Like anything could happen.
Well, think about it this way. In sudden death, both sides have an equal chance to win that final point.
So it's like a clean slate.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you were winning the whole match or barely keeping up. Everything comes down to that one moment.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Plus, it keeps the games from dragging on, which is good for the people watching.
Absolutely. The article points out that sudden death helps prevent those marathon matches that go on forever.
Nobody wants to sit through a pickleball marathon.
Right.
It's all about that quick burst of excitement.
Exactly. And that fast-paced energy is part of what makes pickleball so appealing to watch.
Okay, so we've talked about the intensity, we've covered some strategies, we even touched on the fairness of it all. But I'm curious, how do you think this whole sudden death rule has actually changed the game of pickleball? I mean, has it really impacted the sport as a whole?
Now, that is a question worth thinking about.
I mean, it seems like sudden death has just become like a core part of pickleball.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what the game is known for.
Yeah, I think you're right. The article even suggests that sudden death has actually played a big role in making pickleball as popular as it is today.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's
Yeah.
unpredictable. It's intense. Any given match can completely change in a second. It's exciting for everyone, whether you're playing or just watching.
You're exactly right. And I think it goes beyond just the excitement factor. I think the sudden death rule has really helped to shape like the entire culture of pickleball.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, it forces players to be resilient
Right.
and adaptable. You have to be able to handle the pressure and think on your feet. There's no room for, getting flustered or giving up.
And you can't forget the sportsmanship.
Yeah.
I mean, even in those crazy high-pressure moments, pickleball players are known for being super supportive and respectful of each other.
That's so true. That's definitely something special about this sport. Even though sudden death creates this incredibly intense atmosphere, it also brings out the best in people.
It really shows you what pickleball is all about. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive today, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
What's that?
How do you think this whole sudden death thing has affected the evolution of pickleball? Has it changed the way you approach the game? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. Share your stories with us. And until next time, keep those paddles ready, stay sharp, and don't be afraid to embrace that sudden death thrill. Remember, it's not over till that very last point is played.